AI is boosting productivity. In writing, coding, research, customer support, and analysis, people can now produce more output per hour than they could a few years ago. That's the promise of the AI boom. More output, faster work, lower costs. But productivity revolutions don't rise in a straight line. They hit ceilings. And the question that will define the next phase of the AI economy is simple. What slows the boom? A productivity ceiling happens when the technology is capable, but the system around it can't absorb the change fast enough. That system includes infrastructure, data, regulation, trust, and the daily reality inside companies. AI can be powerful in a demo, but scaling it across an organization, across industries, and across an economy is harder than people expect. The first bottleneck is integration friction. Most companies aren't blank slates. They run on legacy software, messy databases, old workflows, and human habits built over years. To get real productivity gains, AI has to be embedded into those workflows. It needs access to internal systems. It needs clean permissions. It needs reliable data pipelines. And it needs to work consistently, not just in perfect scenarios. Many AI tools look impressive in isolation, but the real productivity gains come when AI is connected to the operational core of a business. That connection is slow. It requires coordination across IT, security, legal, and leadership. And every friction point reduces adoption speed. This is why the first wave of AI productivity often happens at the individual level. One person uses AI to write faster, analyze faster, summarize faster. But the second wave, organization-wide productivity, is slower because organizations move slower than individuals. The second bottleneck is data quality. AI is only as useful as the information it can reliably work with. In many companies, data is inconsistent. Duplicates, missing fields, conflicting sources of truth. Even simple questions like what is the latest number can vary depending on which system you ask. If an AI assistant is built on messy data, it produces messy output. That increases risk. And when risk rises, companies restrict usage. So the productivity ceiling isn't always AI can't do it. It's AI can't do it reliably with our data. Until companies improve internal data infrastructure, the ceiling remains. The third bottleneck is trust. AI can produce confident answers that are wrong. This isn't a small issue. In high-stakes environments, finance, healthcare, law, engineering, safety systems, errors are expensive. Trust isn't built with a single success. It's built through repeatable reliability. That means systems need oversight. They need validation layers. They need auditability. And they need clear accountability when something fails. Without trust, AI becomes an optional tool rather than a core capability. People double-check everything. Managers hesitate to rely on it. Legal teams restrict what it can touch. And the productivity gain gets reduced. Trust is a hidden variable. It determines how deeply AI can be integrated, and therefore how much productivity it can unlock. The fourth bottleneck is regulation and compliance. As AI becomes more embedded, governments and regulators respond. Privacy rules, model transparency requirements, liability frameworks, data sovereignty, sector-specific compliance standards. All of these influence deployment speed. In some industries, AI adoption can move fast because regulation is light. In others, implementation is slow because the cost of compliance is high. Regulation doesn't kill technology, but it changes the shape of deployment. It determines which sectors scale first and which sectors scale last. And it can create a ceiling where technical capability exists, but legal permission does not. The fifth bottleneck is power and compute constraints. AI is not just software, it's infrastructure. Models require GPUs, data centers, cooling, and electricity. And those constraints are real-world constraints. Grid upgrades take years. Data center build-outs take years. Chip supply is limited. This means AI capacity doesn't scale instantly with demand. It scales at the pace of infrastructure. When infrastructure is tight, costs rise. When costs rise, companies become selective about usage. And when usage becomes selective, productivity gains don't spread evenly. They concentrate in firms that can afford the compute. This becomes another ceiling. Not what AI can do, but what companies can afford to run at scale. Now here's the key insight. These ceilings don't mean AI productivity stops. They mean it becomes uneven. Some sectors will continue accelerating, others will slow. Some companies will integrate AI deeply and gain a permanent advantage. Others will remain stuck in pilot projects and shallow use cases. This is where productivity divergence happens. And divergence matters because it reshapes competition. Companies that integrate AI effectively can reduce cycle times, improve decision-making, and increase output per employee. They can price more aggressively, they can innovate faster, and they can expand into adjacent markets with lower marginal cost. Companies that fail to integrate AI may not collapse immediately, but they may become structurally less competitive year after year. This is the real long-term impact of AI productivity. Not just faster work, competitive separation. So what does it take to break through the productivity ceiling? 4 things. 1. Systems integration. AI has to connect to real workflows. 2. Data cleanup. AI needs reliable internal information. 3. Governance and accountability. Trust requires oversight. 4. Infrastructure capacity. Power and compute determines scale. If those conditions improve, the ceiling rises, and productivity growth can accelerate again. But if those conditions remain constrained, AI productivity becomes a partial boom rather than a full transformation. It changes some tasks, but doesn't rewire the economy. The AI productivity boom is real. But the next phase depends less on model demos and more on system reality. Integration, data, trust, regulation, infrastructure. Those are the forces that determine whether AI becomes a widespread productivity engine or a powerful tool used unevenly by a few. The ceiling isn't fixed, it moves with the system. And the organizations that invest in the system, not just the tool, will be the ones that keep compounding productivity while others stall. That's what slows the boom. And that's what decides who wins the next decade.